It says go. Is it going? It's going.
Yeah.
This week on the Virtual Skeptics. Waiting for the tune. Bob's head hurts from all the knowledge. Struggles to stay awake. And Tim never forgets. I'm your host, Brian Gregory. I messed up my timing. And I've been invited to every IIG meeting for the next year, apparently. All today. Every single one was invited today. Because apparently, I don't know, I can go to LA and go to IIG meetings. I don't know. Maybe, if I happen to be randomly there. Hi, this is the Virtual Skeptics. Let me introduce my crew. Let's see here. First off, we got Bob Blaskiewicz. He is CSI's conspiracy guy, web columnist, blogger for Skeptical Humanities, and Swift blog contributor. We got Eve Siebert, editor and blogger at Skeptical Humanities and contributor to Skepticality. And finally, Tim Farley, former JREF fellow, blogger at SkepTools, Skepticality contributor, and creator of What's the Harm? Thanks for watching, people. Thanks for tuning in another week. If you're watching and you want to comment or question what we're doing on the intertubes, you can post. Let's see. You can question us on Twitter with hashtag Virtual Skeptics. You can comment on the YouTube channel, which the link is. If you're watching us, you know where it is. Or you can use the Q&A app, which actually I don't think I set it up. Nope, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Yep, Q&A app is running. You can ask us a question. I will do my best to try to get that into the show.
There's already a question.
And there's already a question from Blake Smith saying, is everything going to stay in Vegas? And I think so. I think that is the rule.
Yeah, that doesn't happen no more.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think what stays in Vegas ends up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, in great quantities.
In great quantities. So, how'd you guys see? So, two of you guys went to TAM. Bob and Eve went to TAM. How was TAM?
Yes.
Are you going to talk about TAM tonight? Or should we?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, well, I'll wait for your segment to do the TAMness. The TAMness. So we'll do the other thing we do first, which is the trivia question. Tim. Trivia question?
Trivia question, yes. I have one this week prepared in advance instead of moments before the show starts.
That's how it usually works.
It's a plus. There is a favorite word that skeptics use all the time that has a birthday. We know the day this word was coined. And that birthday is February 25th, 1820.
1820.
So what is the word? And I will give you a hint beyond the date. The hint is this word has a connection to a location in North Carolina.
That is the worst hint ever.
Is it bullshit, North Carolina?
I was...
You are on the right track.
Yeah. That's very interesting. And coincidentally, while you're thinking about that, you can also think about the videos that are sticking behind me. If anybody wants to guess, these are actually two easy ones this week. And look at that. No, don't look at that. Did that give it away? Maybe that gave it away. Anyway, so back to Tim. Tim's got his first segment this week. I don't even know what he's going to talk about because he didn't give me any spoilers. So.
Oh yeah, in the notes, yeah.
Yep.
Obviously you don't follow me on Twitter. Jeez.
Who are you again?
Yeah, I am talking about the right to be forgotten. If you don't follow online stuff and European online stuff, you probably have never heard of this. But it was an interesting court ruling recently, which is that in Europe, the European civil rights, human rights laws have this concept of a right to be forgotten, or a right to privacy.
Yeah.
That goes way beyond what we have in the United States. And there was a recent ruling where someone sued Google, and basically it was one of these quirky things, and if you've ever, you may have had a friend who had this or something, every once in a while some weird article happens to be a very high result for someone's name. And oftentimes it is, like a very old article, maybe something about when you were in high school, and people get bugged about it. Every once in a while, like once every couple of years or so, I get a email from somebody who is mentioned, somebody who didn't die, who is mentioned on What's the Harm. Because What's the Harm will rank very highly for their name if they don't already have a web presence.
Yep.
And it's annoying if you're applying for a job and then there's this thing about a DUI that you had, 42 years ago or something, and for some reason that article happens to rank highly in Google. So this court in Europe, in the EU, ruled that people have a right to remove that stuff, and they ruled that Google must be forced to remove those rankings. Now, Google hates this kind of stuff. They hate tweaking their algorithm. They like to be able to build a giant machine and just have the machine work right. And whenever they're forced to change the rankings individually, they really don't like to do it, and they push hard back on it. So they fought this, but they lost, and I guess I don't know if it can be appealed to anything. It was the high court in Europe, so I'm not sure who you would appeal it to. So Google is having to take these requests, and lo and behold, as soon as they put the form up, within a week, they had 70,000 requests. And already there have been some Streisand effects, like the original guy who sued. His article got removed, but now all these articles about his lawsuit are ranking highly in Google for his name, so people still know the story. I forget what it was, some minor, legal problem he had 10 years ago. So anyway, here's why I'm talking about this. Skeptics criticize people. And one of the ways we reach the public is by ranking our sites in Google. One of the reasons What's the Harm works as a site is if you type things like homeopathy deaths or Ayurvedic harm into Google, guess who ranks at the top of that? whatstheharm.net. And that's because I've done a lot of hard work to make that happen by very carefully designing the site so that it has keywords on it and getting other people to link to me, and people link to me with the keywords from relevant articles and all these things that you do as a webmaster to make your site rank in Google. And that's how one of the ways that I try to reach people who are maybe wondering, did anybody ever die from homeopathy? Boom, they get to my site and they see some actual cases about it. And so I expect, and I have not seen any incidents yet, that this will start to be used against skeptic webmasters. Now, right now, it only applies in the EU. Because, of course, in the United States, we have this thing called the First Amendment, which does apply to search engine results, and the EU court does not have jurisdiction in the United States anyway. So none of this affects...
Not yet.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Senator Cruz.
So none of this affects U.S. Google rankings, but it affects Google.de and Google.it and all the other European versions of Google.
So they're mainly targeting Google rankings, not the actual hosting sites?
They're not removing, that's the key, that was a very good question, because they're not removing the content. They're simply removing the link in Google. But depending on your website, that can be 40% of the traffic, 30 to 40% of the traffic to your page. So having your page disappear from Google, boom, essentially means that no one's going to find it unless they already know your website. And there have been businesses that have made mistakes and gotten deranked out of Google, or done nothing, and an algorithm changed, and all of a sudden their business evaporates because no one can find them. So this is an important problem, and I like to be practical, and I have some practical advice for you. If you are a skeptic webmaster and you write articles where you criticize people in Europe, maybe homeopathic manufacturers, Boiron, the homeopathy company, is based in France, so they, for all we know, could be filing these requests. You need to be in Google Webmaster Tools. This is a free service that Google offers. You can sign up. There's a little bit of a rigmarole that you go through to prove to Google that you own that website. Essentially, they give you a little piece of text and you say, here, stick this in your homepage in a little hidden spot. And and then they'll go and look at your website and say, aha, okay, we gave him that thing and it appeared on the webpage. That guy who emailed us must be the owner of that website. And once you've got that set up, you can log in and Google can tell you if you've gotten a right to refuse request. And they have said that they will do this. So it's very important that, and there's other services from Google Webmaster Tools, like they'll tell you if Google's not crawling your site, or there's other issues with your site, if Google thinks you have malware on your site. All of these things are stuff that Google will tell you. And it's a useful thing to have. But now it's even more useful. If you are a skeptic webmaster or a blogger, if you use WordPress or Blogspot, there's a way down in the settings that you can tell it, here's my Google Webmaster code, and hook it up so that Google Webmaster knows you own that blog. And you will get notifications from Google if anybody files a right to be forgotten request on one of your articles. So do it.
Do it now.
Do it
now.
now.
And I would like
do it after the show.
Do it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, you can do it at the same time. You're on a computer anyway, so.
And I would like to hear on SkepTools if anybody out there is a skeptic webmaster and you get one of these right to be forgotten requests through Google Webmaster Tools, contact me, because I would like to track this and find out how often this is happening to skeptics.
This is very interesting. The concept of having the right to be forgotten. I mean, as a parent, it's interesting because a lot of people, when they're young, they do things that are stupid, and if they do these stupid things on the internet, they can persist for a long time in their life.
Yeah,
so I can see
no
that,
argument there. There are certainly legitimate uses of it for people who, for whatever reason, the results are weird, and that goes to another piece of advice that I give skeptics, because people will, if you make someone mad enough, they will try to poison the results for you in Google.
Yep. Yeah.
That has happened. In fact, there was a famous incident in Germany where someone was being paid by homeopathic manufacturers to write hit pieces about Edzard Ernst and get them to rank in Google. And this guy had many blogs that he set up that said all this crazy stuff about Edzard Ernst. And if you went to google.de and you searched on Edzard Ernst's name, you saw all this crap that this guy had been paid to create. And then there was a big scandal when it came out that he was being paid. And so the flip side of the right to be forgotten is that if you live in the U.S. and therefore can't use this, or if you want to avoid having to do this, the important thing is to have a web presence, right? To put stuff out there that has your name on it that you are happy with. Have a blog, have a YouTube page, have a Twitter page. They don't have to be super active, but make sure they're out there so that there are rankings for your name, and then it will be harder for someone else to put up a random web page with your name on it.
And buy your name as a website.
Buy your
URL.
As a domain. Yep.
I have that.
Oh, so that would be easy to spell.
www.
Is it Bob or Roberts? Bunch of letters.
RJ, all the consonants.com.
Yeah, sorry. I had to.
It's all right. I have to every day.
So thanks, Tim, for covering that, and listen to his advice. He's the most missed thing at TAM.
It's true that.
The two of you were the most missed.
No, nobody missed me.
We did.
You should be there. It's not right that you're not there. It's a travesty against skepticism.
Hush you. Hush you. Okay, so up next is this other guy that talks about technology stuff. I think that's the music. Is that the right music?
It has a theme song.
It's not really a theme song. It's more of it sets the mood.
It's an anthem.
Set the mood of doom. Because, this week was not much doom in terms of robot stuff. It was very, very disappointing. So, yeah, it was very disappointing. See, first off, we have MIT Master Technology Awesomeness making a robotic fish.
Lame.
Let's go back. Here we go. That video is not playing. Fine. So that video won't play, and I'll just have to tell you about this awesome killer robotic fish, which I wish it was a killer robotic fish, but it's just actually a robotic fish. We've seen robotic fish before. We've seen other fish that, other experiments in trying to do fish-like locomotion. There was a squid that we talked about last year, and some other robotic fish thing. The main idea behind this one is they're using a new method of locomotion. They're using a soft body, so it's made out of latex, and the muscle inside of the fish part is actuated with compressed air, so they can actually have the entire mechanism for actuating the fin inside the fish with the electronics and with the battery, so it's entirely self-contained. There's no tether. It can swim. Yeah, see, there you go. There you go. There's a video right there. No? Okay. So the idea is it swims on its own, and it can actually, because it's using compressed air, and it has a lot of it in a little tiny container, it can actuate rather responsively. And their big push was that this thing can do the same kind of avoidance fast motion that fish do. So like they avoid predators by doing as a curl up motion that they curl their tail and allows them to turn and move really quickly. So they're doing that kind of thing. Other than that, it seems like it's just another robotic fish to me. It doesn't have weapons, lasers. It doesn't, I don't know, attack people. It doesn't bite their legs when they're swimming. I'm like,
doesn't swim up their urine stream.
I know. When are we going to have urine stream swimming robots?
That's what the robotic fish wants you to think.
Is that what it is? You think they're just
it's
robotic killers in disguise? Okay, so also at MIT this week is those deadly drones. You know those things? They fly around the sky and they bomb and they swarm. They do all kinds of really cool behavior that's going to kill us someday.
Right, well, yeah, those are awesome.
Apparently they can also make you look really good in a photograph. So this is another research project done by an MIT student. He's come on. Let me. Oh no! Don't do that. I want to go forward in the video. So how do I do that?
I'd hit play.
I hit play. There we go. This is pretty cool. Watch this. This is a woman being photographed by a photographer over there. You can see him moving around, and you see this flying thing with a light on it in front of her. Well, based on her position and the photographer's position, the drone will automatically move for optimum lighting based on a particular set of parameters. It tracks the camera and it tracks her pose, or at least her orientation, and it can see the lighting highlights on whatever it's looking at. So it'll automatically and direct. See, the photographer moves around, and the drone is obviously sped up. It's a really cool idea, and it produced some interesting photos. I'm not an expert at photography to know whether or not they're great photos or not. It does look like it'd be a very interesting tool. Easy setup. The downside, I think, now is that this is pretty much a prototype, and it is based on some 3D motion tracking that requires some kind of setup in the room. It's not just a standalone device, so it requires some computing power and some vision that you don't see on the camera. But still, it's a very cool idea. Another application of the drone following technology, but unfortunately, probably will not kill you someday.
Well, okay, two things. One, is Big McLarge Huge a robot?
No.
And
unfortunately.
Two, I think what it's doing is looking for weak points.
Is that you think what it is?
Vulnerable areas.
This would be a nice cover project. Mm-hmm. For the robots to get surveillance on. This part we're looking at right now.
At least we know the robot apocalypse will be well lit.
That's true. and hopefully photographed.
Dramatically lit. Yeah.
Yes, very dramatic.
Also, you see the torso mannequin in the background? We saw that in a garbage can in the South Point parking garage.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's
I don't
a
know
great
why.
story. I'm going to tell that one to the kids.
This one, I think this one is a picture of actually being attacked. I'm not sure. But because they do have to kind of discipline the robots to keep them in line. That last one does describe a particular photography mode called aggressive mode, where based on the feedback from the photographer, like it's kind of like you push the button halfway down, you get the flash does a distance ranging. You push the button halfway down, and the robot will like swoop in to get the best. And it looked pretty aggressive, but not really deadly. Okay, so one more story, and this one was my best hope for something that will eventually kill you, and because apparently, I mean, we've all heard of Watson, because Watson played Jeopardy on TV. They taught this supercomputer how to come up with Jeopardy questions based on the answers. And he went on TV and humiliated, or mostly humiliated, humans on TV, which is what robots need to do. And Google has a big supercomputer that handles its searching, and actually it's fed into the Android audio search. It does audio processing and does some really fancy pattern recognition on that. And I'm positive it's doing surveillance on us. I'm not sure. Microsoft apparently has one of these big, super smart machines as well, called Project Adam. There's an article in it.
Not an ominous name at all.
Yes. Well, I guess, yeah. I guess there is a code in there somewhere. There's a Wired magazine article on it this week, talking about a demo that was done at a trade show recently. Apparently, they have this thing connected to. They have an app for handheld devices that they use internally, and they use it as a demo. So they could take pictures, and this supercomputer can recognize what's in the pictures just from a photograph, which is a pretty hard problem to solve if you know anything about how computer recognition goes. The sad thing is it's not like recognizing military targets or weaknesses in humans or I don't know, network outlets and power outlets like it needs, because computers don't need all that kind of stuff. It's recognizing, wait for it, dog breeds. But the only way this could be worse is if it was actually trying to identify the funniest cat memes on the internet.
Don't give them ideas, Brian.
But apparently this recognition system works very, very well. It uses less hardware than most of the other solutions. So somehow they figured out how to optimize this. They don't have a lot of the technology details online, of course, because of trade secrets. But apparently you can take a picture of a dog, and not only it will tell you what kind of dog it is, it can actually identify subbreeds. They made a big deal out of it, like it's something really awesome. I think that's interesting. But not where I want it to be yet. So, but still,
subbreeds are like related breeds, because Beagle and Basset for Corgi.
Yeah, this is a screenshot of some pictures and some of the search results. Well, I guess you'd call them search results, but some of the identifying guesses. See, I don't really know how to classify what you'd call this, because it's a computer using a massive database and pattern recognition to try to look at what's in the pictures and come up with what it might be.
Isn't that just a Google reverse image search?
Kind of, except for
this
reverse
is
image search
just using the pictures, right? It's not using any.
Yeah, this is not using any metadata at all. It's just looking at the
Google
picture and
reverse
trying to
image
identify
search largely works out of the context in which the images sit. So it can see, hey, here's a picture of my corgi, and it can pick that up and say, oh, well, this picture is probably a picture of a corgi.
So yeah, I mean, some of these the stronger results, like if these numbers are weights, and for that picture, some of the stronger results are very, very specific. Like the strongest result, obviously, is very, very specific. The one with multiple objects in it with the dumplings, that's interesting how well, first off, it come up with a reflection, which is like a concept, but also reflection. I'm not sure how that's supposed to fit in there. And
it's reflection.
Reflection?
Like
Riff
a
action, you're right.
confectionery.
So I read that wrong. Breadbasket, bun roll, dumpling. So it's identifying different objects, and there's one with the deer. It also identified the spruce tree, although I don't know why it says cork oak or doe. It's just some of this is like interesting, but you wish it was smarter, especially if it's trying to hunt humans eventually. It needs to be smarter for
It needs to be able to distinguish between the people and the environment.
We need
Absolutely.
to sabotage this algorithm so that they can't hunt humans, and that they only hunt corgis.
Right, sure. No!
All right, so that they hunt dumplings.
So what you're trying to say, is that the first targets when the robots take over are going to be short-legged dogs.
First, they came for the corgis, and I said nothing.
Oh.
Nicely put.
Thank you.
So there you go. That's as doomy as it got this week. We've got kind of advanced or more than past advanced robotic fish thing. We've got robots doing slave labor for photographers, and a super smart, awesome machine that identifies dog pictures, and we'll probably be making cat memes next week. So there you go. That's what I got.
It's the saddest thing ever.
It is the saddest thing ever. Now, a couple of questions. See if there's any questions. Any good? A robot. Blah blah blah. Any question? Will there be a Project Eve? One can hope. Speaking of Project Eve,
Oh, it's gonna make a computer that nags you. That's what it's gonna do.
Bob,
I'm gonna hear about that shit.
calm down. It's time for your segment. I'm nagging you.
Take your Bob.
Yes. So you're up next.
Okay.
Go.
We're at TAM. It was great.
What's TAM,
Good
Bob?
night, everybody.
TAM is the amazing meeting. This is the 2014 edition. The premier skeptical conference with topics devoted to science, reason, and critical thinking, and consumer protection. This year's topic was the brain.
Brains!
Brains.
Yes.
So, okay.
And so there were a lot of psychologists this year. Carol Tavris, Elizabeth Loftus was there. Scott Lilienfeld was there.
Atlanta's own
Emory. Yeah, he's damn good. And some other ones, some other people I hadn't heard of before, but they were very
Sally
good.
Sattel, who's a psychiatrist.
What's her name? Barbara Drescher.
Oh
yeah,
I
Her something. Yeah.
Her.
So yeah, there was a lot of there were a lot of good talks over 3 days, and then there were some workshops. Eve and I were involved with a workshop on the first day. I was involved with a workshop on Sunday. It was the first time they had Sunday workshops.
No, I don't think it's the first time.
Oh, it wasn't?
Yeah, they've
The
had
first time since we've been there.
There was something before we went?
Mm-hmm.
No, it didn't exist until you guys showed up.
Okay, cool. All right.
They start numbering them. Like,
Well, as far as you know.
That's right. I have kind of like temporal object
Schrodinger's
permanence.
TAM.
Like anything before 1976, and I have no... Huh?
or narcissism.
Narcissism. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a good time was had by all. If you could bring up the first slide. Eve?
Yes.
That's just, you know.
That's funny.
Yeah. Everyone knows it who's been to TAM.
Yes.
It's where you meet.
At the horse's ass.
Yep.
Yeah. For anyone who hasn't been there, the hotel has a
it's an arena
horse facility in the back and caters to horse shows. And this statue was a statue of a famous Las Vegas horse guy.
Who
And
apparently was murdered.
was he
Because
murdered?
also, that's what I
we
kept
heard.
hearing, that he was mobbed up.
Oh.
because
One
it is
thing-
Vegas.
Yeah. But anyway, it's right in one of the main hallways, like right where you get on the escalator to go up to where the convention center is.
Yeah, it's held at the South Point in the convention center, which is right up next to the casino, off the strip, kind of isolated. You can and probably should spend all of your day inside because it's completely self-contained, and you will burst into flames if you step outside the door.
Also, for like the first in my life, I saw a professional farrier truck outside the South Point.
Nice.
Horses. Yeah,
it's true. But they weren't having horse shows. The BMXers were there again.
Yeah.
For at least 3 years.
Yeah, they do have other types of shows there.
Last time I was there 3 years ago, was it Chuck Norris having a kids martial arts camp or something? It was pretty fun.
And Dawkins and Chuck Norris were in the same elevator or something.
Wow.
Neither knew who the other was. So, next picture, please.
I'm sure. What you said? Next slide. Next slide.
Yep.
Casino.
That's a casino. This is where you go to give people your money and get nothing back in return.
Except enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
I won $37.
Ha!
Nice.
At the airport.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. They want to fool you into coming back.
Yeah. I gambled a little, and you have to go into that knowing that you're going to throw your money away, and then continue to justify it to yourself, saying that you intended to throw your money away afterward.
Did they have the Star Trek slot machine? That was awesome.
Possibly.
Which one? I don't know.
There was a great big Star Trek. There used to be one there, but they probably changed it up pretty often.
Friend of the show, Miranda Hale, hit a jackpot on a water machine.
That's right.
She got like a dozen of them.
Yeah, she was at a vending machine, and she got all the water.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Like
yeah.
Bottled water?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
It's true, and it's not officially, but it apparently.
But I like to think there was like lots of ding, 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 and lights flashing.
Water bottles falling out. But
I had this picture. I had this picture in my head of like water gushing out of the bottom.
Yeah, that would be less good.
That would be called a broken pipe. All right. So next one.
Okay. I know who that is.
This is the inimitable Jeannie Scott, who was talking about hoaxes and.
There's 3 of them.
There's small, medium, and large Jeannie Scott, depending on on the demand and how badly you want to see her. You can get her in 3 sizes. She gave her talk about hoaxes and frauds and what was the other category?
Pranks.
Yeah, pranks, hoaxes, and frauds. And then afterward, she received the award for it's the one that Reed got, the one that Susan Gerbic got, the
super awesome skeptic of the year.
Yeah, because she has just retired from NCSE and has a lifetime of service to science and to education behind her, and I think that's where the JREF is going. It sounded like from the closing remarks, into education. And
further into education.
Yeah, further into education and making that a bigger part of its mission. So that it's completely appropriate and wonderful that Jeannie won that. And if you don't love Jeannie Scott, you're a monster.
What's wrong with you? She's wonderful.
She's so nice. So, next.
This is something I never wanted to see.
Yeah, this was a horrible thing that I did with Dr. Carl. One of the people who I really wanted to meet was Dr.
Snappy
Carl.
dresser.
You have no idea.
The best shirts. He has the best shirts.
And pants and belt buckles.
Awesome.
One of them hit a Rubik's Cube belt buckle, and then he was going around asking people what were the mistakes on it.
He has all the degrees. He's like Massimo Pigliucci,
More Australian.
but more Australian. So
He's kind of the Bill Nye of Australia, isn't he?
He really is.
Yes.
He has an engineering
He's on TV
degree.
a
He has
lot,
a
so.
medical degree.
Bill Nye actually said he was the Dr. Carl of the U.S.
Yeah,
very
he
nice.
was, and he gave this great talk. He's a very polished speaker, and he talked about it. It sounded like it was something that he kind of whipped up while he was at TAM,
To
possibly,
some extent.
or at least the intro was.
He had tweeted something. I saw. I wasn't following the social media from Tam super closely, but I did see a tweet from him about like he had just read an article, and it's like I'm going to rewrite my Tam talk right now.
Yeah, there's
And it
also
was like,
something
ugh.
like he'd seen a picture he'd seen in the lobby that he managed to,
Work in, yeah.
a movie
Don't
poster.
you really hate people that can do that kind of stuff and love them at the same time? It's like
He was fantastic. He was telling me in the green room that his job is to read books full time. And he just reads and he reads and he reads.
yes.
And you can tell he has a vast store of knowledge and expertise. During my talk, my second talk, I had the my desktop was visible for everyone to see. Oh, the shame of all those icons on my desktop. And he just came up and he's like, if you just put them into a folder at the top level on the desktop, your computer will run much more quickly. I'm like, you are compulsively helpful. So yeah, he was great.
I'm glad I've never seen your desktop.
It's a mess. Not anymore. I cleaned it up because Dr. Carl told me to.
Use Dr. Carl's patented advice.
Yes.
Yep. So there are lots of pictures of Dr. Carl doing this pose, and when you post one, all the other skeptics who've had their picture taken with him post their version of the same thing. But he's very nice, very personable, and talked to him backstage, and he was just the nicest guy. He's the real deal. He's the real deal.
Why is he pointing to your crotch?
Because it's an amazing sight to behold. No, wait, he compared it to the Australian desert. Anyway, next, please. Weird Eve.
I am not going to comment.
These
Beyond that.
are...
We don't know who these people are.
No.
Yeah, these were some people who showed up, and they were mostly drunk the whole time.
I
And
know who they are.
yeah, so
They look like they're having fun.
they spent.
Did you
their-
take this picture? Because that's not possible.
This is the entire Virtual Skeptics audience.
No, be fair, Miranda's not there. Or Torkel.
yeah.
That's right. That's
Hey,
right. We had a couple more.
There's a
So
few more.
they were just catching up on back episodes. No, they weren't. They were fighting the good fight. That morning, we heard that Brzezinski had 200 pages worth of charges filed against him
Yeah.
by
Good
the
news.
Texas Medical Board.
Good news.
And they got together and spent the morning compiling that into a document that we could use, and that was just amazing.
That's awesome.
They're phenomenal, and I love you all. You are all great. So
I think at least one of them is watching tonight. So.
hi.
So.
Yeah, Nathan's here.
Yeah.
Hey Nathan.
Hello, Nathan.
So
Which
And-
means Mariba's probably here too.
Nathan managed to make it past a month of marriage while there as well.
it's true.
Successfully.
Hey, congratulations. It only goes downhill from here.
Oh, that's the saddest thing anybody's ever said.
You're amazing.
So,
and
bitter.
they
Don't listen
also
to me.
brought entertaining card games.
yes, we played the Monty Python card game.
Flux.
It is that Flux is that is.
Oh,
know.
I have Monty Python Flux.
They were also playing Space Flux.
Yeah, there's several
I
versions
saw that,
of
yeah.
Flux. I like Flux. Flux is a fun game once you kind of wrap your head around how it works.
Yeah, it takes some mental gymnastics to keep up, and then you're just begging for someone to get a clear card so they can wipe
Right.
the rules, and you
That's
start
so
back
good.
at the first. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a fun game.
Yep.
and there are even silly accents involved. So yay!
Yay! That's always fun.
So next.
Next. Who's that?
This is Barb Drescher doing the Macarena.
Ha!
She
No.
was invited up on stage to give the
To be awesome.
to be totally awesome on to be the assistant on a during a magic show. So she was the person from the audience who was brought up. What
They
happened?
pulled her out of a hat.
It was a big hat. to
Wow,
be
I bet you
fair.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, big
No,
hat. Okay.
It
I was
It
thinking.
was really funny. Oh, God, I wish I could say. She was really funny when she was up on stage. But the trick was that they transferred ashes from one hand to her hand, right? So when she opened her hand after being alone on that side of the stage for 5 minutes, and she finally opens her hand, just a bunch of ashes fall out.
Nice.
So it was a cool trick.
Cool. Who was doing this?
This was the Dark Stories. I forget which person it was, but it was the Saturday night entertainment, was it?
I don't know. I
Saturday
was
night.
at the party.
Yeah, you were hanging with Dunning.
Yes,
and
and Matt the Tube Crowley do
wow.
interesting things with. He was showing us
Were doing
proper
circus
use
geek
of a
stuff?
condom.
He was
Awesome.
doing his. Was that part of his act?
I think so.
Oh my gosh,
I
because
love
that
parties.
looked uncomfortable. What you can do with a nasal cavity and a condom, I tell you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that was cute. Next,
Yay.
this is me with Elizabeth Loftus,
Mm-hmm.
who is awesome.
Yep.
At the
She was
speaker
very
reception.
nice. Huh?
At the speaker reception.
Yes, this is. You can see Sheldon Helms in the background. You see, I can't see anyone else there, but it was just kind of a thrill. I use her in my classes. I use a 60 Minutes thing that she appeared in a couple of years ago, talking about false memory, and she's Mrs. False Memory or Dr. False Memory.
Yep.
So that was wonderful to meet her.
Okay.
Next.
It's Santa Claus.
Yeah, I don't know who
No,
that is.
that was Daniel Dennett. It was much more Santa Claus-like, I think.
No, different bearded guy.
Yeah, this was us on Sunday morning as we're waiting to get our car.
Monday.
I'm still right, Monday morning. And he was outside doing magic tricks for kids.
For
Yeah,
Margaret, or
Yeah. He
Downey's
does random tricks whenever
Margaret
he.
Downey's kid, right?
grandson, I think.
Grandson, and just kind of blowing his little mind, being very warm and hospitable. He was a good host.
Look how tall I am.
Yes.
You tower, towering Eve. I think one of the highlights, one of the most interesting things that everybody kind of saw was Thursday night or Friday night. The showing of Nana Slyer.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
What did you think about that, Eve?
It's cool. Everyone should go see it. It should win more awards.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
good.
It's already played here in Silver Spring. There was like a art movie
Sorry.
thing. But I didn't get to see it, so I'm hoping for another chance. So.
Is it?
No,
did
it's-
they say anything about whether it's going to get a wider release or when? When we'll be able
Possibly.
to see it generally?
I think it's still sort of slowly rolling out.
Yeah, it
Across
seems like
the
they're still
country.
taking it to some film festivals.
Yeah.
I heard from Sharon that Randy was going to be in town. Maybe it was from Sheldon. Somebody whose name starts with an S.
Shh.
That he was going to be
Somebody.
going to
Somebody.
Los Angeles to promote the film next. So it is still doing the tour, doing the summer circuit. So, but yeah, so we got our picture taken with him, and that was cool. Kind of an unexpected win. I actually saw him the next day, Tuesday morning, the day that we left, in the Coronado, the little restaurant. So he was sticking around. So cool. Next, Eve.
Tam wine.
Yep, it's a great vintage. Me. Also, there's a great.
That's an old wine. Oh.
Bob, you
I'm
are such
Yes, Bob, not a good person.
Not good. Is there more?
Yep.
One more. Okay. I see rocks.
That is a desolate, dismal hellhole.
That's
It's
Red
not.
Rocks.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. We went out to Red Rock Canyon.
Yeah, I've been there before. It's awesome.
Oh, it's amazing.
It is desolate.
It is desolate.
In a cool way.
It's a stark beauty, is what it
Did
is.
you
Not
take-
in a cool way. It was extremely hot.
Did you take a geologist?
No.
Oh, man.
I know.
You have access to one. You know that.
Yes,
Just
you
saying.
know one.
Yeah.
Our geologist had left for a different hotel, I think.
Yeah, and I think she was going out today. I saw something in her feed that suggested she was going to go out today. There are a number of really cool features out there. There was one. It's a.
There are some rocks.
These are rocks that used to be sand dunes, and are weathered down, and they have the stratification is clear, and it's wavy and gorgeous.
That one has a stripe.
That one does have a
does.
stripe.
It has a, yeah.
That was
It has
set
another
down
stripe that's kind of obfuscated.
during the flood,
Yeah? Is that where the stripe happened? Is
pretty much.
that where the boat hit?
That's right.
No, that's blood from all the people who were killed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Another one?
and there might
Is there
be
more?
one or two more
Yeah, okay.
photos, but that is totally. I can't imagine that.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah, this is the car that we rented.
Yeah.
But
Liberace's car. It was at. Which one was it at? Was it Aria?
Possibly. Well, there was also a whole Liberace museum that
Yeah.
Bob wouldn't let me go to.
What? We could have gone.
Oh. You seemed completely uninterested. But there were outfits as well.
It's true.
I
I've been
think the
there.
reason Bob didn't want to go was because he was so jealous of the outfits.
They were pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And is there another one, or is that just?
No, that's it.
That was our last day. When we went down to the Strip, Eve had never seen it. I hadn't been there for 15 years or more. So.
But also, there were substantive things happening at TAM. There were some really good talks.
Mhm.
And Carol Tavris gave a great talk. Thoughtful, well-researched, and not really the way it's represented necessarily online.
nothing ever
There,
is.
Nothing.
there was a $1 million challenge, preliminary,
Yes.
that the claimant did not win. He has hand energy, and there was
Qigong.
He does jazz hands?
hand energy. Yes, and they tested that, and to have a control,
Energy.
they had Jamie Ian Swiss, who the claimant concluded had absolutely no actual magical abilities.
Nice.
And so,
I'm sure that got a laugh.
yeah, so they would, and there was a box, there was all sorts of things so that the helpers couldn't see or hear who was
All sorts of controls.
waving hands around the box. But then the helpers would say whether there's anything through the box, and for trial 1 or trial 2, and if they felt something for both trials, or trial 1A, 1B, which was stronger, and so the claimant apparently didn't have any magical abilities, because He failed
the
the first two wrong, and at that point they suspended. He'd failed the test, so they suspended it.
He had to
Jamie Ian Swiss, however,
Yes.
succeeded in both of those trials. So he apparently is magic for reals.
I hear he's got amazing hands.
Ugh.
Energy.
It was a good test. The guy had to get 8 out of 9, I think it was, in order to pass. He missed the first one, he missed the second one, and it was over. Although I would have liked to have seen the full test, get a full data set. But
yeah, they decided not to do that because in the past it's just been so painfully dull.
Right.
Yeah, generally you get to a certain point, if you know that it's not going to be statistically significant, there's no point in going any further. So.
Well, yeah, but
Chip was there, right? Because
you could present it in a way that didn't blow the surprise until the end, blow the results into the end. I thought, but.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Question. Go ahead.
It would still be lengthy and painstakingly dull, which is so what they were trying to avoid. I mean, I understand your point of view, but that apparently experiences in the past, sometimes they're not the most exciting thing in the world. What he's supposed to be doing with the hand energy is the question.
Yes, the question.
He apparently has some healing. He actually moved from China to Boston to be around science and testing, but really scientists haven't tried to test him very much.
And it sounded like this was going to be go ahead.
In this case, he wasn't trying to heal anyone. It was just he can transfer the energy from one hand to the other hand, and you have a person with a hand in the box, so it would be in between and could feel the energy or heat passing through. Except they couldn't. But they could with Jamie.
Which surprised everyone.
Weird.
Wow.
So yeah, Eve, you were approached by Banachek to try out, right?
Yeah,
they were looking for people to be the helpers or whatever. To meet the guy to see, if because he had to approve the people that to see if they would be receptive. But because I'd been in IIG Atlanta, I didn't get asked.
Very cool. I'm sorry I missed him. I really am. I haven't been to one since 3 years ago. So 3 years ago was the last time I went to.
It was our first year that was your last year.
That's right. I did see you guys there. Yep. And I had a good time. Met a lot of people that I don't get to see otherwise. That's the main thing for me is the fact that there are so many people who come from far distances that you can just meet and actually have face-to-face conversations and collaborate on things and talk about what they're doing, or just get to know people better that you've only talked to online, and I love that aspect of it. And the talks are cool too, and usually I get to meet some very, very interesting people as well. So that's
is definitely something that I'd hate to ever miss.
Yeah, I hate
Bite me.
But we did spend, I'd say, at least an hour every day just mourning the fact that you weren't there. They're weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Were you
we ripped our clothes. There were ashes.
Were you facing Baltimore?
Of course.
I wouldn't fucking know. I have no sense of direction.
And you're inside a casino.
Yes, they don't even know what time of day it is either.
They're not known for having a lot of windows.
Yeah.
It
pretty much is the same constant noise the entire time, 24 hours a day.
It's a cultural deprivation chamber. There is nothing penetrating.
There was
from the
Frankie
outside
Avalon.
Frankie Avalon was there.
Wow.
Yes, not at TAM, but at the South Point.
Ooh. Were the Spasmodics playing?
They were there.
They were, but we didn't see them. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
I didn't
awesome,
know.
though. They're so much fun.
Yep. That was a lot of fun last time. Okay, so thank you for covering TAM. Eve, do you have more?
Do we get comped for this?
Not really.
Yes, you get comped.
Okay, cool.
Whatever that means.
You get paid the exact same thing you get paid every week.
That's right.
Which is
Actually, you get paid twice as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should
Normally
be
get
double
paid.
at least.
Yes.
all right, we'll double it.
Yes, we'll double it. So I guess we should wrap this thing up.
I think some people got what was on your screen there, Brian.
Yes.
think
But
so.
we're gonna do the trivia question first because that's the the real test. The other one's easy. So.
Yeah. So a couple people got the trivia question. I have to give it to Mark Price because he and Blake said something right around the same time. But Blake said debunk. But truly, we were looking for the word bunk.
Yeah.
Debunk came later. But obviously, same root word.
Yep.
And the reason we know what day that word originates, bunk, is because it dates from a February 25th, 1820 speech by from Buncombe County, North Carolina.
Buncombe County.
And
Really?
he was apparently legendary for giving speeches that were just utter nonsense and the most boring things you've ever heard. And he stood up in the middle of the debate over the Missouri Compromise, of all things, famous legislative battle in Congress, and wanted to give this speech and got shouted down. And he said that he just wanted to give a speech for Buncombe. And essentially it became that remark became a snide remark back at him. It's like, yeah, you were giving a speech for Buncombe, all right. Buncombe, and later shortened to bunk, became a word for nonsense.
Awesome.
It dates to a congressman's full of crap speech.
Wow, that's pretty
awesome.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah, I love that story. And Buncombe County is, I believe, where Asheville is in North Carolina. So
Yep.
we would not
Someone
have the word debunk if it weren't for that guy.
I think someone had guessed bullshit North Carolina, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think that works. Okay, and because Blake, I guess you're giving Blake credit for that.
I think Mark Price
Yeah,
and Blake
okay.
said it right around the same time. Mark
Okay.
Price on Twitter, and Mark Price said bunk, so
Yep.
he gets the credit.
Well, Blake definitely was first to get both screens, which one of them has like a message that popped up on it during. But yeah, one of Daryl is on my right side, and the other one is Westworld. Two great robot-themed movies. Go watch them; they're awesome.
Gerald, was that the one? That was the one about the kid?
Yes,
From,
the
like,
kid with the robot brain.
Early
Oh,
'80s.
spoiler!
Yeah.
No, not really. Yes, it was the early '80s, and you could tell by some of the actors in it what time it was. So it was a little later than the War Games era.
But not much.
But not much, yeah.
Mm.
Cloak and Dagger was also the same time, yeah. So there you go. Westworld was way much earlier than that, and it kind of broke some ground as far as creepy robot people, and in a movie that was entertaining. So, what's last? Oh, we've got book time, don't we? You guys got books?
Yeah.
No, I don't see any announcements. So, are there any announcements? Anyone?
I have
I'm
no book.
taking a nap after the
Okay,
show,
so
if that helps.
he was taking a nap. That's the first announcement.
Mhm.
And no, okay. Who's got a book?
It's like I've never done this before and didn't get a book.
Okay. Apricot pits, for example, can be fatal if ingested. The pit contains cyanogenic glycosides, which are converted into cyanide upon digestion. Some hours after ingestion, the following symptoms may develop: abdominal pain, vomiting, lethargy, and sweating. In severe cases, the victim may become comatose or develop tetanic convulsions. Potatoes belong to a deadly nightshade family, one of Bob's favorites.
Yum.
The toxic parts of the potato are the uncooked sprout and the sun-green skin. There are little toxicity for adults, but some fatalities have been reported in young children. Stems and leaves of tomato plants are covered with stinging hair, which consists of long needle-like spines that break off when touched and inject poisons, histamines, and acetylcholine into the skin. And I think I said that wrong. This can produce a stinging or burning sensation. I'm going to stop this up there. This is all kinds of deadly plants.
Is this like a...
Is it fun with poisons?
What? Sorry?
I was just guessing it was fun with poisons.
No, not fun with poisons. You got a book, Eve?
Yes.
Go.
I climbed Mount Everest 80,000 years ago. I'm the last supermarket trolley alive. Aloha. I once bet 500,000 pounds that God existed. I was a nut. Thanks to Edgar Malroy, I am better now. Really. I was made on the 3rd of November 2022 at 11:30 a.m. in an industrial estate on the outskirts of Chelmsford. After I rolled off the production line, I was greeted by a technician with a friendly face. She tapped me on my push bar and said the first words I ever heard, which were, "Who's a pretty boy then?" Which was how I discovered my sexuality.
Tim?
Of course, there are many pressing problems facing our nation and our species, but reducing basic scientific research is not the way to solve them. Scientists do not constitute a voting bloc. They have no effective lobby. However, much of their work is in everybody's interest.
Bob?
Doubter, cynic, doubting Thomas, non-believer, scoffer, naysayer, questioner, freethinker, atheist, agnostic. Not one who doubts, but one who examines.
Okay. You're reading a thesaurus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unfortunately, my book is not The Prisoner's Wife, or whatever the new book is, which what Blake guessed on YouTube. Mine is an excerpt from the book of Totally Useless Information by Don Voorhees. This is
No, that's
in...
useful information that was in there. If you
Yes.
eat apricots, that's lateral, and it breaks down to
Yes.
hide.
Yes, it's just the book, Bob.
It's also useful if you want to poison people.
And actually, the reason I picked that one is because it was one of the more useful or interesting things in the book. Most of the other stuff, like why is the sky blue, is not really news to me. Or why do fireflies light up? Or let's see here, what's the origin?
Flamethrowers.
Dorks. What gives gin its distinctive flavor? I'm familiar with that quite a bit. So there you go. There's the book. It's interesting. It's one of those nice collections of kind of bizarre facts. Eve, what was yours?
Skepticism, Inc. by Bo Fowler, which I got from Sharon Hill.
Interesting. Cool. Yay. Tim?
Oh, the old favorite, Demon Haunted World.
Yeah, that one did sound familiar.
Deserves to be read all the time, so.
All the time.
I will not take any abuse for using it again.
Bob?
I've read Roget's
I totally guessed this.
Super Thesaurus. You'd think they'd come up with a better word than super, though.
Big ass thesaurus.
Big ass word treasury.
Thing with words. You have.
Double plus good.
Much fun.
Double plus good.
By the way, we did see the conspiracy theory Weird Al video.
Yes, that question came in. Yep.
And the one about language, which
is awesome.
Yes, that one is the better one if you ask me.
Memorize it.
The WordPress one is awesome. And you know the story behind the guy who did that video for him, the animator?
No.
That's the same guy who did if you're familiar with Jonathan Colton, who also does some songs kind of in the Weird Al vein. He releases his stuff with loose copyright online, and he encourages his fans to remix and do fun things with him. And that guy, on his own time, spent 1,000 hours and did a similar video, animated words. They call it kinetic typography.
Kinetic typography. Yeah.
Video for a Jonathan Coulton song, which I love, called Shop Vac.
Yes,
So
which is an awesome
that.
song. Yes.
Go look for Shop Vac video on Twitter. He did that on his own time and just put it out there and said, "Here's this video for Shop Vac." Has 1 million views.
It is awesome. Yeah.
That's how he got the attention of people like Weird Al and got, I presume, the paid gig to make that video for Weird Al, which I have watched like 12 times already, and every time I watch it, I notice another little detail that he's put like in the corner. There's all this little stuff hidden in there. If you're willing to watch it and freeze frame it and stuff, there's a lot of detail in that video. But it's a fun song and it's a great video.
Yeah, it is awesome. Go check it out. There was a question about being bad for you. Yes, they are. Although it's not really bad for adults. It's not that poisonous, but you should probably not eat them. Let's say that.
It's poisonish.
Poisonish. Poison. Yes, and they don't taste very good, so
it's not
don't
the
eat
best
that
thing in the world.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, I think we're done. Are we done? We're done. So there's the logo, and there's which one? Gotta find the right one. Virtual Skeptics is an independent production of From.net, Skeptic Humanities, myself, ICBS Everywhere, and Doubtful News. Our logo was designed by Sarah Mayhew at sarahmayhew.com, and our theme music is by Music Ant and is used with permission by the right person.